Alright guys, so I've got a really quick one here for you today. We're looking at 2.2 consequences of population distribution. So today we're looking at how population distribution and density affect society and the environment, particularly political, economic, and social processes, and how they affect the environment and natural resources. So our tidbit of the day is that in the last 10 years, we have seen the largest ever population of young people. Today, there are 1.8 billion people between the ages of 10 and 24, and many of them are concentrated in developing countries. So the more people we have, the more need we have for things like access to adequate housing, to jobs, to fresh water, to services, which include social services like police, fire, medical, and waste collection. When we cluster these services together with very highly dense populations, it can save a lot of money, especially from services that are paid for by taxes, such as those mentioned. The distances are a lot shorter in densely populated areas, which is going to take advantage of people's ability to reach them. It's going to mean that they miss less work, they're better able to get around and go to health appointments that they need to go to get help when they need it, to make sure that all of the stuff around them is cleaned up. However, clustered populations also put a lot of pressure and stress on these services. The more people we have together, the more need we have for the services. In addition to that, if something like a fire were to break out, it's going to potentially damage a lot more buildings, a lot more structure, and potentially cost a lot more lives. Fires in particular are also a greater hazard in areas where there's a lot of decay, so things like slums and such. They catch fire quickly, they burn through a whole lot of things, and can absolutely be devastating to the populations who live there. And when we have more of a hazard with fires, we also have more need for specialized services and more services. One of the other things that we see with this difference in population density is that there are a lot of disparities in the economic growth at different levels. So some places in a city may be very, very highly developed. Some places may be very, very low developed. We looked at uneven development in regions across the world in Unit 1. This is the same thing, just on a more local level. All right, so how does population distribution impact the environment? The first thing we need to know about this is carrying capacity. So this is the maximum population an environment can support. For Earth, it hasn't yet been determined. We don't know how many people it actually is. However, there are countries that have reached their carrying capacity and have exceeded it. That's what we would term as overpopulated, and other places that could support a great deal more life. And a lot of that has to do with things like technology and development levels. So the greater the population density means that we have a greater drain on resources like water and energy sources. We have more pollution, air quality is poorer, food supply goes down or is more stressed, biodiversity dies, and water is either used up or polluted. We do have some cities, many cities, that are instituting things like urban sustainability programs and initiatives trying to make cities more sustainable overall, encouraging walking or biking, putting in renewable energy sources like solar and wind, and overall just trying to bring some environmental positives back to cities that have lacked them for a very long time. So one of our examples of a place with a very low carrying capacity is actually Greenland. So the island itself is fairly large, but because it's so cold, covered in ice and snow, and has a very harsh climate, it has a very, very low carrying capacity. It's not able to sustain human life to a great extent at all. One other thing we also have to worry about with carrying capacity and environmental impact is soil fertility. So the more people we have using the soil or using foods that come from the soil, the more it's going to be depleted. Additionally, if we have a lot of industry in a place, it could be polluting the soil with chemical runoff and heavy metals. All right, that's it. So our lesson objectives explain how population distribution and density affect society and the environment. So I want you to take a moment in your notes, describe how population can negatively and positively influence society, and then identify which of the 3 methods for calculating population density would be most helpful in assessing a country's carrying capacity. And remember, you're thinking arithmetic, physiological, or agricultural density. All right. Make sure you go back and rewatch any of this video that you need to catch back up on or need a little bit more clarification for. Drop me a question in the Chapter 2 Padlet, and I'll see you later. Bye.